Last week, my son called. He said he couldn't take care of himself anymore. I answered him with 4 words, the same 4 words he gave me 2 years ago. I was standing behind my reopened counter when the phone rang. The bakery was warm again, the scent of yeast finally replacing the smell of yeast and fresh roast hanging in the air. My hands didn't shake anymore. That part surprised me. I hung up, wiped flour on my jeans, and went back to shaping dough like nothing happened. People always imagine moments like that feel big, loud. Honestly, they don't. They feel flat, heavy in a quiet way. My name is Maribel Lawson. Mari. If you ask nicely, I'm a widow. I run a small bakery in Portland. I used to run it. Then I closed the doors for 2 years of silence while I fought to stay alive. Last week, the ovens finally grew warm again. Anyway, 2 years earlier, that's where this actually starts. It was raining, that thin, cold kind of rain that soaks through your coat without you noticing. I locked the front door of the bakery and flipped the sign to closed. Temporary. I told myself, just until I felt better. I had been dizzy for weeks, dropping things, mixing up orders I'd been making for decades. I blamed age. I blamed stress. I blamed everything except what it was. I don't like asking for help. Never have. Never. My husband died 8 years ago, and after that, I learned how to fix things myself. Leaky sink, tax forms, grief. You learn fast when there's no one else to do it for you. My son had his own life, a good job, big deadlines. I didn't want to be another problem on his list. The doctor didn't waste time. He said the words fast, like ripping off tape. Stage 3. Treatment needed to start right away. He asked if I had someone to call. I laughed. I swear. I actually laughed. Then stopped because it sounded wrong in that room. I walked out with a stack of papers and sat in my car. The seat smelled faintly like sugar and old receipts. I stared at my phone longer than I want to admit. I almost didn't call him. That was the stupid part. Thinking maybe I should handle this alone too. But I called. And that call changed the shape of everything that came after. It's stage 3. The doctor didn't offer a soft landing. He used phrases like aggressive and no delay while sliding a stack of consent forms across the desk. I nodded, too much a reflex for when my brain can't keep up with a reality already penciled in without me. He glanced at the clock. You'll need to start this week. Do you have someone who can drive you? I opened my mouth to say no. I was ready to be my own hero, as always. Instead, I heard my voice betray me. Yes, I'll call my son. In the parking lot. I sat in the silence of my car. I stared at his name on the screen until the light dimmed. I told myself I was calling for logistics rides, schedules, practical things. It was a lie I needed to believe so I wouldn't have to admit I was just a mother who was afraid. I dialed anyway. He picked up on the 3rd ring. What's up? Mom. His voice was tight, like he was already halfway somewhere else. I just got out of the doctor's office. I told him. I tried to keep it clean, factual. They ran the biopsy. There was a pause. Keyboard sounds in the background. Someone talking. Not to me. Okay, I'm kind of in the middle of something, he muttered. Can this be quick? That landed harder than it should have. I still kept going. It's cancer, I said. Stage 3. They want to start treatment right away. Silence. Not the soft kind. The distracted kind. Like he was reading something while I talked. Finally, he exhaled. Sharp. Jesus. Okay. Wow. I waited. My hand was sweating against the phone. I'm not saying it's nothing, he added quickly. This week is insane. I've got this project review, and if it goes well, it basically decides whether I get promoted. I'm not asking about work, I said. That came out quieter than I meant. I know. I know. He cut in. I'm just explaining where I'm at. Another pause. Then he said it. I can't deal with this right now. He didn't sound angry. That almost made it worse. He sounded practical, like he was declining a meeting. I swallowed. I start chemo this week. Right, he replied. The doctors know what they're doing. You're tough. You've always handled stuff. That word, handled, like this was a leaky sink. After this project wraps, he went on, I'll come by. We'll figure it out then. Okay, I didn't answer right away. My brain felt slow, sticky. Mom, he pressed. You there? I'm here. I said, good. Listen, I've got to jump back in. Text me the details when you can. The call ended before I could decide what else to say. I sat there with the phone against my ear for a second longer, like it might come back on. It didn't. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed. A transfer notification, a small amount, enough to feel intentional, not enough to change anything. Under it, a message. For now, we'll talk soon. I stared at that screen longer than I should have. Then I locked the phone and set it face down. I didn't call him back. I didn't text. I went home, put the paperwork on the table, and marked the first chemo date on the calendar. Honestly, that's when it shifted. Not all at once. Just a small click inside me, like a door closing without making a sound. At what point does later turn into never? They called my name and pointed me to chair 7. I noticed the number because it was the same day of the month my husband passed. A small coincidence that felt like a cold greeting. The nurse practitioner introduced herself while snapping on gloves. Calm voice. No fluff. I liked that. First time she asked. Yeah. She nodded. We'll go slow. She explained the drip, the timing, the side effects I'd probably Google later anyway. Her words were clean. No drama. I watched her hands. Steady, professional. I needed that. When she stepped away, I looked around without meaning to. A man across from me had his wife rubbing his shoulder. Someone else had a daughter leaning in, whispering jokes. Nobody looked scared alone. That was the difference. The NP came back with a clipboard. We need to update your emergency contact, she told me. I looked at the line where his name should have been. I didn't reach for my phone. I simply wrote the name of my lawyer and handed it back. It wasn't paperwork. It was a boundary. Okay, I said. I'll take whatever they need. She checked a box. I'll put in the request. That was it. No meaning attached. Just paperwork. My phone buzzed halfway through. A message from my son. Long day. This project is killing me. I stared at it. Then typed. I'm in treatment today. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared. Came back. Sorry. Meetings all day. Hope it's going okay. That was it. No follow-up. No question. Another hour passed. Another message. Did not sleep at all last night. My boss is on edge. I locked the phone and slid it into my bag. My chest felt tight. But I stayed still. The drip kept going. The clock moved. When the session ended, the NP helped disconnect everything. You did fine. She told me. Same time next week. Thank you. I said. I meant it. I walked out alone. Not angry. Not surprised. Just quieter inside. Like I'd finally learned what to listen for and what not to wait on anymore. My birthday landed on a Tuesday. I remembered because the pharmacy texted me a refill reminder that morning. And for a second, I thought it was him. It wasn't. No call. No text. Nothing that accidentally brushed against the date. I didn't tell anyone at the clinic. It felt like fishing. That evening, I sat on the couch with my phone and scrolled without thinking. Habit more than curiosity. Then I saw him, my son, grinning at a long table, his arm around someone in a blazer, a cake between them with tall candles, and a caption that read, "Celebrating the boss tonight." There were comments, laughing emojis, people tagging each other. I tapped the photo once, twice, zoomed in. He looked relaxed, present, like he'd made time. I didn't feel jealous. That surprised me. What I felt was replaced. Like I'd slid out of frame and something shinier had taken my spot. Work dinners, promotions. People who mattered more right now. I took a screenshot. I don't know why. Proof, maybe, or habit. After months of collecting quiet disappointments, I closed the app and set the phone face down. The room felt still, but not heavy. Just empty in a clean way. A few minutes later, a text came through. Hope you're feeling okay today. Crazy week. I didn't answer. Not because I was trying to teach a lesson. I just didn't have anything left that fit into a sentence he'd read between meetings. I sat there longer than I meant to, letting the silence settle. Something loosened in me. Not anger. Acceptance. What happens inside you when you stop waiting to be chosen? The bills came in waves. Not all at once. That would have been easier. These showed up spaced out. Polite. Like they were giving me time to breathe. Copays, deductibles, medications with names I couldn't pronounce, but learned to spell because I had to. I lined them up on the kitchen table. Neat stacks. That's how I cope. Order first. Panic later. I waited a week before calling my son. Long enough to make sure this wasn't fear talking. Long enough to practice not sounding desperate. I need a little help. I told him. Just to get through treatment. He exhaled like I'd interrupted something important. I'm maxed out. Mom. I've invested everything into this promotion, the dinners, the networking, the image. I don't have liquid cash for bills right now. It's all tied up. I stared at the wall while he kept going. You should look into a personal loan, he added. Or maybe borrow from someone nearby. You've got neighbors. Right, I didn't answer right away. My throat felt tight, but I kept my voice even. Okay. I waited for a notification, a message. Anything. It never came. He didn't just deny me the money. He denied me the safety of knowing he cared. That silence was the reason I had to call the car dealership the next morning. That makes sense. He continued, relieved. You're good at handling things. There it was again, handling. I didn't respond. I sold my car the next week. It wasn't fancy, but it ran, and I'd owned it outright. Watching someone else drive it away felt stupidly personal, like giving up a limb I didn't realize I relied on. I sat in a bank office after that, signed papers for a loan with an interest rate that made my stomach flip. The clerk walked me through it slowly, like I might break. You're sure? She asked. I'm sure. I told her. I canceled subscriptions, cut groceries down to basics, learned which pills I could delay refilling by a few days without consequences. That kind of math becomes second nature fast. I didn't call my son again. Not because I was angry. I just knew the answer now. I'd asked once. That was my line. Something closed up after that. Not my heart. Something more practical. Like a door you shut because winter's coming and you can't afford the heat loss anymore. What do you do when survival costs more than your pride can afford? She came back after her shift ended. Different sweater. Same calm. I brought tea. She told me. Like it was nothing special. It's not great. But it's hot. I nodded and made room. My hands were tired. Everything was tired. We didn't talk about cancer. That mattered. She asked what I did before all this. I had a bakery. I told her I still do, I guess. It's just asleep. What kind, she asked. Bread mostly. Simple stuff. I learned from my husband. I paused. He died 8 years ago. She didn't rush to fill that space, just waited. I think I lost myself when I got sick. I added, not all at once, just pieces. Like leaving things behind without noticing. She nodded once. That happens. My phone buzzed. I didn't look right away. Then I did. A text from my son. One of many lately. They all came late, like he only remembered me when everything else shut up. Haven't slept in 3 days. Hands won't stop shaking. Missed another deadline. My boss is pissed. Another message followed. HR talked to me today. Formal warning, this is getting bad. I stared at the screen. The pull hit me hard. Muscle memory. Mother mode. Fix it. Say something right. Make it better. I locked the phone. I should answer him. I muttered. More to myself than her. She didn't push. You look exhausted. I am. I admitted. And I don't have anything left that helps. She poured the tea into a paper cup and slid it toward me. You're allowed to be empty. That landed deeper than comfort ever does. I drank, burned my tongue a little. It grounded me. I checked my phone again. No new messages. Just the last ones sitting there, heavy and unresolved. I didn't reply. Not that night. Not the next. I couldn't mother him from a hospital chair. I barely had enough strength to keep myself upright. I know how this sounds. Trust me, I do. But sometimes the person who stays isn't the one who shares your blood. Sometimes it's the one who pulls up a chair and doesn't ask you to be anything more than what you are that day. 2 years after the diagnosis. The doctor leaned back and smiled like he'd been waiting to use the phrase. No evidence of disease. He let it sit there, like it was mine to pick up or leave behind. I nodded, thanked him, walked out like a normal person. In the car, I gripped the steering wheel and laughed once. Too loud. Then I drove home. A week later, I was cleaning out a cabinet I'd ignored since before I got sick. An old tin fell out and popped open on the floor. Inside was my husband's handwriting, bread ratios, notes in the margins, a smudge where he'd spilled coffee years ago. I sat down right there and held it. Didn't cry, just breathed. A few days after that, I ran into Mrs., called her from down the block. She looked at the dark bakery windows and tilted her head. You ever opening again, she asked. Not pushy, just hopeful. Maybe, I told her. That surprised both of us. I started small, hiring a local teenager to handle the heavy flour sacks while I focused on the ratios. I only baked 10 loaves a day. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The first morning back, I turned the oven on and waited. The hum felt familiar. My hands remembered what to do before my head did. People came in quietly. No big speeches. No applause. Just nods. Thank yous. Coins on the counter. This wasn't a comeback. It wasn't about beating cancer or inspiring anyone. It was about choosing where my energy went next. I closed the shop early that day, tired but steady. And for the first time in a long while, the tired felt earned. The phone rang while I was wiping the counter. I almost let it go to voicemail, habit. Then I saw his name, Mom. He started and stopped there. His voice was thin, like it had been sanded down. No confidence left in it. What's going on, I asked. He took a breath that didn't quite land. I'm not okay. That got my attention. Not panic, not anger, just attention. He'd spent 2 years trying to outrun the burnout, clinging to a promotion that never came because he couldn't focus. The warning from back then, it finally caught up to me. He admitted. HR put me on mandatory leave. The promotion is gone. Later's not real. Mom, I leaned against the counter. Are you safe right now? Yes, he said, too fast. I mean, yeah, I think so. There it was. The power shift. 2 years ago, I'd been the one asking for reassurance. Now it was him. I can't sleep. He kept going. My mind is foggy. Mom, I can't remember simple things. I'm dropping everything. I can't be alone like this. I waited. He filled the silence. I need someone to stay with me. Just for a bit. Then Softer. I figured you could. He didn't ask. He assumed. Like gravity. I didn't answer right away. I looked at the flour dust on the counter, the open ledger, the schedule I'd finally learned not to overpack. I'm proud of you for getting help. I told him. That part was true. Does that mean you'll come? He pressed. I didn't say that. Silence again. This one heavier. After we hung up, I sat on the stool behind the counter and opened my messages. I typed for a long time. Whole paragraphs, practical things, comforting things, mother things. I read it back and felt my chest tighten. Then I deleted it. I walked to the back, washed my hands, came back out. The oven hummed. Someone laughed outside. Life I'd rebuilt without noticing. I called him back. He picked up instantly, hope bleeding through the speaker. Mom, you're coming. I looked at the bakery I had rebuilt alone, brick by brick. I hear you, son, I said, and I'm sorry you're hurting, but I can't deal with this right now. He didn't respond. I heard his breathing. Uneven. Shocked. I gripped the phone, the mother in me screaming to relitigate the past. But the survivor in me stayed quiet. You're at the clinic, right? You're with your doctor this afternoon, I asked. He whispered, yes. That was the only assurance I needed. He was safe. He just wasn't my responsibility anymore. Good, I said. Then I can't deal with this right now. I ended the call and stood there in the hum of my bakery. My hand steady as the stone counter. The silence on the other end of the line was absolute. I didn't rush to fill it. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. Mom? He started, then stopped. His voice cracked once and disappeared. I didn't remind him of the hospital bills or the birthdays that passed in silence. I wasn't interested in reopening wounds just to prove they were real. I simply ended the call. A few days later, an envelope arrived. His apology was written in a shaky hand. Honest, but incomplete. He saw things differently now, but understanding doesn't always equal healing. I folded the letter and placed it inside the old tin with my husband's bread ratios. It didn't belong with the trash, but it wasn't ready to be framed either. It was just another recipe I hadn't mastered yet. I didn't answer him. Forgiveness isn't a reflex. It's a slow process. And sometimes it's just a maybe. I opened the bakery the next morning. Same routine. Same quiet nods from people who never left. Life didn't stop because one relationship shifted. Boundaries aren't punishments. They are protection. And love doesn't mean setting yourself on fire just because someone else is cold. We're all carrying something. Sometimes it helps to know you're not the only one still deciding what to do with it.